The ballroom smelled of old money. Champagne bubbles dissolving in crystal, imported roses wilting under chandeliers, and the cloying sweetness of designer perfume that cost more than my monthly rent. I stood near the marble column, my fingers gripping a glass of cheap wine I'd snagged from a passing waiter, trying to make myself invisible. The dress I wore was borrowed, 2 sizes too big, held together by safety pins hidden beneath a shawl I'd found at a thrift store. My shoes pinched my toes, second-hand heels that clicked too loudly against the polished floor whenever I dared to move. I shouldn't have come. Marcus had sent the invitation 3 weeks ago, hand-delivered to the tiny apartment I shared with 2 roommates in the worst part of the city. The envelope was thick, expensive, embossed with gold lettering that announced his engagement to Victoria Ashford, daughter of a real estate mogul, blonde and perfect, and everything I would never be. Inside, beneath the formal invitation to their engagement party, he'd scrawled a note in his familiar handwriting. Thought you'd enjoy seeing how the other half lives. No hard feelings, right? No hard feelings. I'd cried for 2 hours after reading it, then thrown the invitation in the trash. But my roommate Sarah had fished it out, insisting I needed closure. She'd helped me pin the dress, done my makeup with practiced hands, and pushed me out the door with a pep talk about showing Marcus exactly what he'd lost. Except standing here now, surrounded by women dripping in diamonds and men discussing stock portfolios like they were football scores, I felt exactly like what I was, a cleaning lady who'd once been foolish enough to fall in love with a rich boy slumming it during his rebellious phase. The music swelled, a classical piece I didn't recognize, and couples began drifting onto the dance floor. I watched Marcus twirl Victoria beneath the chandelier, her laugh tinkling like expensive wind chimes. He looked happy, genuinely happy, the kind of happy he'd never looked with me, not even in the beginning when he'd promised me the world from the back seat of his Mercedes. "Champagne, miss?" A waiter appeared at my elbow, balancing a tray of flutes that probably cost more than my car. "No, thank you." My voice came out smaller than I intended. He moved on and I debated slipping out. No one would notice. No one had noticed me arrive, standing awkwardly by the coat check while couples swept past me in waves of silk and laughter. I was a ghost here, a joke. Marcus's final petty revenge for daring to cry when he dumped me 6 months ago. I'd taken 2 steps toward the exit when I felt it, that prickling sensation at the base of my skull that meant someone was watching me. I turned slowly, scanning the crowd, and that's when I saw him. He stood at the far end of the ballroom, partially obscured by a cluster of laughing socialites, but somehow impossible to miss. Tall, with shoulders that strained against a black suit that had clearly been tailored to perfection. Dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble, all sharp angles and dangerous beauty. But it was his eyes that froze me in place. Even from across the room, I could feel their weight, dark and intense and fixed entirely on me. 2 men flanked him, both built like linebackers in expensive suits, their postures alert despite the relaxed party atmosphere. The man on his right leaned in, whispering something, but those dark eyes never left my face. Heat crawled up my neck. I looked away quickly, pretending sudden interest in the ice sculpture melting slowly on the refreshment table. When I risked another glance, he was still watching me, and now something that might have been amusement curved the corner of his mouth. "Oh my God, is that really you?" I jumped, nearly dropping my wine glass. Victoria materialized beside me, her engagement ring catching the light like a small sun on her finger. Up close, she was even more beautiful. Flawless skin, perfect teeth, the kind of effortless elegance that came from generations of good breeding and better skincare. "Victoria," I managed. "Congratulations. Marcus said you might actually show up." She looked me up and down, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "How brave of you. I don't think I could face my ex at his engagement party. But then again, I've never been dumped quite so publicly." The memory burned. Marcus ending things via text message, then posting photos with Victoria the same day. My friends had seen it before I had, their pitying faces when I'd walked into work that Monday morning. "I should go," I said, setting down my glass with shaking hands. "Oh, don't leave on my account." Victoria's voice dripped false sweetness. Actually, Marcus and I have a little game planned. You'll want to stay for this." Before I could respond, she'd glided away, her hand raised to catch Marcus's attention. I watched with growing dread as she whispered something in his ear, both of them glancing in my direction. Marcus's face lit up with cruel delight. The music stopped. A microphone screeched feedback, and Marcus's voice filled the ballroom. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention for just a moment. Victoria and I want to thank you all for celebrating with us tonight." Applause rippled through the crowd. But before we continue, there's a tradition I'd like to revive. The first dance isn't just for the engaged couple anymore. We're inviting all the single ladies to join us on the floor. My stomach dropped. "Come on, don't be shy." Marcus's eyes found mine across the room, glittering with malice. "Everyone deserves a chance to dance, even if they came alone." Laughter scattered through the crowd. Several women moved toward the dance floor, giggling, clearly in on the joke. I stood frozen, humiliation burning through my veins like acid. This was it. The real reason he'd invited me. Not closure, not even cruelty. Just entertainment. The couples parted, creating a clear path from where I stood to the empty center of the dance floor. Hundreds of eyes turned toward me. I heard whispers, saw smirks poorly hidden behind champagne flutes. "Run," my mind screamed. "Just run." But my feet wouldn't move. I was trapped in that horrible spotlight of attention. The poor girl in the too big dress, the punchline to Marcus's engagement party joke. "Well?" Marcus's voice oozed false encouragement. "Don't keep us waiting." I took one shaking step forward, then another. The walk to the dance floor felt like miles, each step echoing in the sudden quiet. My vision blurred with unshed tears. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't give them that satisfaction. I'd almost reached the polished wood floor when a hand caught my wrist. The touch was gentle but firm, warm fingers wrapping around my pulse point with a possessiveness that sent electricity racing up my arm. I gasped, turning to find myself face to face with the dark-eyed stranger. Up close, he was devastating, the kind of handsome that didn't seem quite real. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass, and those eyes, dark as midnight and twice as dangerous. He smelled like expensive cologne, and something else, something darker. Smoke and whiskey, and barely leashed power. "Dance with me." It wasn't a question. His voice was low, accented. Italian, maybe, or something Mediterranean, and it rolled through me like distant thunder. The two men I'd seen earlier had materialized behind him, their eyes scanning the room with professional alertness. The entire ballroom had gone silent. My voice cracked. "I don't dance with me." Each word was a command, but his thumb traced a small circle on the inside of my wrist, gentle despite the steel in his voice. I didn't know who he was, didn't know why he'd singled me out, or what game he was playing, but Marcus's face had gone pale, Victoria's mouth hanging open in shock. The whispers had shifted from mockery to confusion, everyone craning to see who had dared to interrupt Marcus's carefully orchestrated humiliation. The stranger's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Unless you'd rather continue walking into that trap?" He knew. Somehow this beautiful, dangerous man knew exactly what was happening, and he was offering me an escape. I took it. "Yes," I whispered. "I'll dance with you." His smile widened, showing teeth that seemed too white, too sharp. Still holding my wrist, he led me onto the dance floor, his two guards moving to create a subtle barrier between us and the crowd. The musicians, looking uncertain, started a slow waltz. The stranger pulled me close, one hand settling on my waist with a possessiveness that should have frightened me. His other hand clasped mine, fingers threading through mine like we'd done this 1,000 times before. I barely reached his shoulder even in my painful heels. "Don't look at them," he murmured as we began to move. "Look at me." I did, and immediately wished I hadn't. His eyes were endless, pulling me under like dark water. This close, I could see the faint scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the shadow of stubble along his jaw. He moved with liquid grace, leading me through steps I didn't know, my body following his like we were magnets drawn together. "What's your name?" His breath stirred my hair. "Emma." It came out barely audible. Emma Brooks. Emma. He said it like a prayer, like a curse. I'm Dante. Just Dante. No last name. But the way people were staring at us, no longer laughing, but watching with a mix of fear and fascination, told me this man didn't need a last name. Everyone here already knew exactly who he was. Everyone except me. Thank you, I whispered. For this. Don't thank me yet, Piccola. His accent thickened on the endearment. You have no idea what you've just agreed to. Before I could ask what he meant, one of his guards approached, leaning in to whisper urgently in Dante's ear. I caught fragments, outside, waiting, before Dante's expression darkened. His grip on my waist tightened almost imperceptibly. It seems our dance is about to be interrupted. What? The ballroom doors burst open. 6 men in dark suits strode in, their eyes scanning the crowd with military precision before locking onto Dante. They moved with coordinated purpose, spreading out to block the exits. Dante sighed, sounding almost bored. Marcus Ashford, he said, loud enough to carry across the suddenly silent room, has made a very unfortunate business decision. Marcus had gone white as chalk. I don't know what you're talking about. You stole from me. Dante's voice was pleasant, conversational, which somehow made it more terrifying. $3 million, to be precise, laundered through your father's real estate company. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? The crowd erupted in shocked whispers. Victoria stumbled back from Marcus, her face a mask of horror. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I can explain. I'm sure you can. Dante finally released me, but only to step in front of me, a wall of protective muscle. But first, I think you owe this young woman an apology. What? Marcus looked genuinely confused. What does she have to do with? You invited her here to humiliate her. Dante's voice dropped to something dark and deadly. You used her pain as entertainment. I find that... He paused, considering. Unacceptable. One of Dante's guards moved toward Marcus. Victoria screamed. The other guests pressed back against the walls, suddenly desperate to become invisible themselves. Dante, please. Marcus's voice broke. I'll pay you back, I swear, just don't... Oh, you'll pay me back. Dante smiled, and it was the smile of a predator. Every cent, with interest. But right now you're going to apologize to Emma. I couldn't breathe. This couldn't be happening. Men like Dante, whatever he was, didn't defend girls like me, didn't put themselves between us and our petty, cruel ex-boyfriends. Marcus turned to me, trembling. I'm sorry. Emma, I'm so sorry. I was an asshole. I accepted. I barely recognized my own voice. Dante turned back to me, and the deadly coldness in his expression melted into something warmer, though no less intense. Come. We're leaving. But that wasn't a suggestion, Piccola. His hand found mine again, fingers lacing through mine with that same possessive certainty. You're with me now. And as he led me through the parting crowd, his guards flanking us, Marcus's broken apologies fading behind us, I realized with dawning horror that I'd just traded one trap for another. Except this one wore expensive cologne and looked at me like I was something precious. Something he had no intention of ever letting go. The night air hit my face like a slap, cold and sharp after the suffocating heat of the ballroom. Dante's hand remained locked around mine as he guided me down the marble steps of the Ashford estate, his grip firm enough to prevent escape, but gentle enough not to hurt. My borrowed heels clicked frantically against stone as I struggled to keep pace with his long strides. Wait, please, I don't understand what's happening. In the car. His voice was clipped, efficient. One of his guards had already pulled up a black SUV, sleek, expensive, with windows tinted so dark they looked like pools of ink. The door opened, and I hesitated, every survival instinct screaming warnings. Dante's thumb traced across my knuckles, that same gentle circle from before. I'm not going to hurt you, Emma. His eyes found mine in the amber glow of the estate's lights. But standing here makes you a target. Get in the car. A target for what? For anyone who saw what just happened inside. His jaw tightened. Marcus Ashford isn't the only one who knows he owes me money, and now everyone in that ballroom knows that you're connected to me. I'm not connected to you. I don't even know you. You know my name. His smile was sharp. And you let me touch you. In my world, Piccola, that's more than enough. Before I could protest further, he'd placed his hand on the small of my back and guided me into the SUV with surprising gentleness. He slid in beside me, his guards taking positions in the front seats, and a second vehicle pulling up behind us. The doors locked with an ominous click. The interior smelled like leather, and that dark cologne he wore. I pressed myself against the opposite door, trying to maintain distance, but the space felt impossibly small with Dante taking up most of it. He moved with the coiled grace of a panther, every gesture controlled, economical. Where are you taking me? My voice shook despite my efforts to sound brave. Somewhere safe. He pulled out a phone. No, 2 phones, both sleek and expensive looking. He typed something quickly on one, then glanced at me. What's your address? Why? Because you'll need clothes, toiletries, unless you plan to wear that dress forever. His eyes swept over my borrowed outfit, and something flickered in his expression. Not mockery, but something darker. Anger, maybe. Who gave you that invitation? Marcus. Why? I looked away, shame burning through me. We dated 2 years ago. He wanted me to see him happy with someone else. The silence that followed was heavy, dangerous. When I finally worked up the courage to look at Dante, his expression had gone completely blank. The kind of blank that meant violence simmering just beneath the surface. He invited you to humiliate you. It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway, and you came. His voice was soft, almost gentle. Why? I don't know. The tears I'd been holding back since the ballroom finally escaped, hot tracks down my cheeks. I thought maybe I needed closure. Or maybe I'm just stupid enough to think that he might... I trailed off, unable to finish. Might what? Want you back? Dante leaned closer, and I could smell whiskey on his breath, sharp and clean. You're not stupid, Emma. Just soft. Too soft for men like Marcus Ashford. His finger caught my chin, tilting my face up to meet his eyes. Too soft for men like me. Then let me go. No. The word was absolute. Not until I know you're safe. Safe from what? He released my chin, but didn't move back. Marcus stole from me. $3 million laundered through construction contracts his father's company never fulfilled. I've been tracking him for 6 months. His smile was cold. Tonight was supposed to be a simple collection. Then I saw you. My heart hammered against my ribs. What does that have to do with me? Everything. He said it like a confession. Marcus hurt you. Used you. That makes you my business now. That's insane. Perhaps. He pulled out his second phone as it buzzed. But insanity runs in my family. I watched as he typed rapidly, his face illuminated by the screen's glow. In profile, he looked like something from a Renaissance painting. All sharp lines and dangerous beauty. The scar through his eyebrow caught the light, and I found myself wondering how he'd gotten it. Your address, Emma. Not a question this time. A command. I rattled it off, my voice mechanical. What else could I do? Jump from a moving vehicle? Scream for help from whom? The 2 guards in front hadn't spoken a word, their eyes fixed forward with professional intensity. Dante relayed the information to someone on the phone, speaking rapid Italian that flowed like dark water. When he hung up, he finally leaned back, giving me a few precious inches of space. My men will pack your things. You'll stay in one of my properties until this situation with Marcus is resolved. I have a job. Roommates. I can't just disappear. You can, and you will. His eyes found mine again. Marcus knows my reputation now. He'll be desperate. Desperate men do stupid things, and the people around them become collateral damage. His hand found my knee, the touch burning through the thin fabric of my dress. I won't let you become collateral damage, Piccola. The possessiveness in his voice should have terrified me. Maybe it did. But beneath the fear was something else. something warm and dangerous that I didn't want to examine too closely. "Who are you?" I whispered. "Really?" "Someone you should run from." His smile was sad. "But you won't get the chance." The SUV pulled up to my apartment building, a decrepit structure in a neighborhood where police sirens sang lullabies and broken glass glittered on sidewalks. Dante's expression darkened as he took in the graffiti-tagged walls, the flickering streetlight, the cluster of men smoking on the corner who scattered when they saw our vehicle. "You live here." It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. "Rent's cheap." "It's a fucking death trap." He was already typing on his phone again. "How long?" "How long what? Have you lived in this place where anyone could hurt you?" 2 years. And no one's hurt me. Yet. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something beyond the cold calculation in his eyes. Genuine anger, but directed outward. Protective. "You don't see it because you've grown used to surviving. But I see it, Piccola. I see exactly how vulnerable you are." 3 of his guards emerged from a third SUV I hadn't noticed pulling up. Dante rattled off instructions in Italian, and they disappeared into my building with frightening efficiency. "They'll need my keys." "No, they won't." He said it matter-of-factly, like breaking into apartments was routine. We sat in silence, the engine idling, Dante's presence filling the small space. He kept glancing at the building, his jaw tight, one hand curled into a fist against his thigh. The other remained on my knee, possessive and warm. "Why are you doing this?" I finally asked. "Doing what?" "All of it. Saving me from Marcus, taking me away. You don't know me." "I know enough." His thumb traced small circles on my knee, the same gentle gesture from before. "I know Marcus Ashford invited you to his engagement party as a joke. I know you came anyway, hoping for something he could never give you. I know you stood there in a borrowed dress, trying not to cry while he humiliated you in front of 200 people. His eyes found mine, dark and intense. And I know that the moment I saw you, something in me recognized something in you." "What?" "Someone worth protecting." He said it simply, like it was obvious. "Someone soft in a world that devours soft things. I'm not—" "You are." His hand slid from my knee to my hand, fingers threading through mine again. And that terrifies me, because soft things break easily. But they're also the only things worth fighting for. The guards emerged carrying garbage bags stuffed with my belongings. Everything I owned in the world reduced to 3 black plastic sacks. Shame burned through me. This was my life. This was all I had to show for 26 years of existing. Dante saw my expression and his grip tightened. "Possessions mean nothing, Piccola. You're what matters." They loaded my things into the third SUV, and we pulled away from my building. I watched it disappear in the side mirror. A chapter of my life closing whether I wanted it to or not. "Where are we going?" "My penthouse, downtown." He was scrolling through messages on one of his phones, his face illuminated in harsh light. "It's secure. Elevators require codes, cameras everywhere, guards on rotation. It sounds like a prison. It's a fortress." He looked up at me. "There's a difference." "Is there?" His smile was sharp. "In a prison, you're kept from leaving. In a fortress, everyone else is kept from entering." He leaned closer, his breath warm against my ear. "I'm not keeping you, Emma. I'm keeping everyone else away from you." The distinction felt paper thin, but I was too exhausted to argue. The adrenaline from the ballroom was fading, leaving me hollow and shaking. I leaned my head against the cold window, watching the city lights blur past. We drove for 20 minutes, leaving behind the broken neighborhoods I knew for gleaming towers of glass and steel. The SUV pulled into an underground garage beneath a building that seemed to pierce the clouds. More guards materialized, opening doors, checking corners. Dante moved through them like a king among soldiers, never releasing my hand. The elevator was all mirrors and soft lighting. Dante pressed his thumb against a biometric scanner, and we shot upward so fast my stomach dropped. I caught our reflection, him tall and powerful in his perfect suit, me small and rumpled in my borrowed dress. We looked like we belonged in different universes. "Stop thinking so loud," Dante murmured. "I'm not." "You are." He turned me to face him, both hands on my shoulders now. "You're thinking you don't belong here, that this is temporary, that I'll get bored and send you back to that death trap you call an apartment. Won't you?" His eyes darkened. "No, Piccola. I'm a lot of things. A criminal, a killer, a man who's committed sins that would make your God weep. But I'm not a liar." His thumb traced my collarbone, the touch searingly gentle. "When I say you're mine to protect, I mean it. When I say you're not going back to that place, I mean it." He leaned down until we were eye to eye. "And when I say I'm never letting you go, I mean that most of all." The elevator doors opened onto a penthouse that looked like something from a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the city sprawled below. Modern furniture in blacks and grays, art that probably cost more than my entire existence. I stepped out on shaking legs. Behind me, I heard Dante speaking to his guards in low Italian, giving orders I couldn't understand. Then his hand was on my back again, guiding me deeper into this beautiful cage. "There are 3 bedrooms. Take whichever you want." He gestured down a hallway. "Your things will be brought up shortly. Are you hungry?" I shook my head, too overwhelmed to think about food. "Then sleep." He said it gently, but it was still a command. "Tomorrow we'll talk about Marcus, about what happens next. But tonight, you're safe." I turned to face him, this beautiful, dangerous man who'd stolen me away from my life, for reasons I still didn't understand. "Why me?" I whispered. He smiled, and it was sad and possessive all at once. "Because when I saw you standing there, trying so hard to be brave while they tore you apart, I saw something I thought I'd destroyed in myself a long time ago." "What?" "The ability to care about something fragile." He touched my cheek, fingers trailing down to my jaw. "Sleep, Emma. Dream of things softer than me, because tomorrow you'll wake up in my world, and soft things don't survive here. Then why bring me here?" His smile widened, showing those 2 sharp teeth, "Because I'm selfish enough to try to keep you anyway." I woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the disorienting realization that I had no idea where I was. The bed beneath me was obscenely soft, wrapped in sheets that probably cost more than my monthly salary. For a blissful moment, I thought I'd dreamed it all: the party, Marcus's cruelty, Dante's dark eyes claiming me as his to protect. Then I saw my reflection in the mirror across the room, still wearing the borrowed dress, mascara smudged beneath my eyes, and reality crashed down. I sat up too quickly, the room spinning. My phone. I needed my phone. I found it on the nightstand, fully charged despite my battery being nearly dead last night. 23 missed calls from Sarah, 16 from my other roommate Jessica, and a string of increasingly frantic text messages. "Where are you? Emma, please answer. Some men came and packed all your stuff. They said you were fine, but... Emma, I'm calling the police." My fingers shook as I typed back, "I'm okay. I'm safe. I'll explain later. Don't call the police." 3 dots appeared immediately. "Where are you?" I stared at the phone, not knowing how to answer. Where was I? In a penthouse owned by a man who'd introduced himself with just one name, who commanded guards like soldiers and spoke about theft and violence like discussing the weather. A man who'd looked at me like I was something precious and dangerous all at once. With a friend. I promise I'm safe. The lie tasted bitter. I found my garbage bags of belongings in the walk-in closet, a space larger than my bedroom at the apartment. Someone had unpacked everything, my threadbare clothes hanging beside empty spaces clearly meant for a wardrobe I didn't own. My toothbrush sat in the marble bathroom, looking pathetic next to luxury skincare products I couldn't pronounce. I showered in water that felt like silk, using soap that smelled like expensive hotels. The bathroom mirror revealed the truth my borrowed dress had hidden. I was too thin. All sharp angles and hollow spaces, working 2 jobs and skipping meals left marks. I pulled on jeans and my cleanest sweater, then ventured out of the bedroom with my heart hammering. The penthouse was silent, except for the whisper of ventilation. Morning light painted everything in shades of gold and gray. I found the kitchen, all stainless steel and marble, and stood there uselessly, afraid to touch anything. "There's coffee." I spun around, gasping. Dante leaned against the doorframe, wearing dark slacks and a white shirt unbuttoned at the collar. His hair was damp, like he'd recently showered, and he held a phone in each hand like always. Without the suit jacket, I could see the lean muscle of his arms, the way his shoulders filled the doorframe. "You're awake early," he continued, setting one phone down to pour coffee into a mug. "Most people sleep later after traumatic evenings. Is that what last night was? Traumatic? Wasn't it?" He handed me the coffee. Black, no sugar. Somehow he'd known I took it that way. "You were publicly humiliated by your ex-boyfriend, then swept away by a stranger who may or may not be a dangerous criminal. Are you? Am I what? A dangerous criminal." His smile was sharp. Extremely. He said it like admitting he preferred tea to coffee. "But not to you." I sipped the coffee to avoid responding. It was perfect. Rich and smooth, and probably cost more per pound than my rent. Everything in this place was perfect, beautiful, expensive. Including the man watching me with those dark, unreadable eyes. "I need to go to work," I said finally. "I have a shift at the diner at noon, and then cleaning offices tonight." "No." "Excuse me? You're not going to work." He pulled out one of his phones, scrolling through something. "I've already had someone call both your employers. You're taking a leave of absence." Anger flared hot in my chest. "You can't just..." "I can. And I did." He looked up at me. "Marcus knows where you work, Emma. Both places. How long do you think it would take him to find you scrubbing toilets in some office building at midnight? He wouldn't. He owes me $3 million that he doesn't have. His father's company is leveraged to bankruptcy. Victoria's family has already started distancing themselves. Did you know her father pulled out of the engagement this morning?" Dante's smile was cold. "Marcus is desperate, and desperate men take hostages." The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. "I'm not worth $3 million to anyone. You are to me." The words hung in the air between us, heavy with implications I wasn't ready to examine. Dante set down his phone and moved closer, predator graceful, until he stood just within my personal space. "I told you last night, you're mine to protect now. That means you don't go anywhere without my knowledge. You don't take risks. You don't make yourself vulnerable to men who might hurt you to hurt me." "I'm not yours." But my voice shook. "Aren't you?" His hand came up to cup my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. "You let me touch you. You came to my home. You slept in my bed. Not with you." "Details, Piccola." His eyes were endless, pulling me under. "In my world, the fact that you're here at all means you're under my protection. And what I protect, I own." I should have jerked away, should have thrown the coffee in his beautiful face and demanded he let me leave. Instead, I stood frozen, my heart racing as his thumb traced patterns on my skin that felt like brands. "I have a life," I whispered. "Friends, responsibilities, and I'll make sure you can return to them when it's safe." His other hand found my waist, pulling me closer until I could feel the heat of him through my sweater. "But right now, Marcus is a wounded animal. Give him a few days to realize he's beaten, and then we'll talk about your freedom." "A few days? A week? Maybe 2. He said it like it was nothing, like stealing weeks of my life was perfectly reasonable. "And what am I supposed to do here? Just wait?" His smile was dangerous. "You could keep me company. I don't even know you. Then get to know me." He released me, stepping back and leaving me cold. "I have business to attend to this afternoon, but my men will be outside. Don't try to leave, Emma, for your own safety. And if I do..." The look he gave me was pure predator. "Then I'll bring you back. And next time, I won't be so gentle about it." He left before I could respond, grabbing his jacket from the back of a chair and both phones from the counter. I heard the elevator doors close, then silence. I was alone in a gilded cage. The day crawled past. I explored the penthouse like a prisoner learning her cell. 3 bedrooms, each with ensuite bathrooms. A media room with a screen larger than my bedroom. An office with a view that made the city look like a toy. Books in Italian and English lined the shelves, many about art history and architecture. No personal photos anywhere. No evidence that anyone actually lived here. Around 2 o'clock, One of the guards knocked and entered with shopping bags. Designer logos I recognized from magazines. "Mr. Moretti sent these for you, miss." Moretti. Finally, a last name, Dante Moretti. I opened the bags with shaking hands. Clothes in exactly my size. Jeans that would actually fit. Soft sweaters in jewel tones. Underwear that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. Shoes that weren't secondhand. A winter coat that felt like wearing a cloud. The note tucked inside was written in sharp, angular handwriting. "You deserve things that fit." I cried then, sitting on the floor of this beautiful prison, surrounded by expensive things I'd never asked for. Because he was right. I'd been wearing borrowed, broken things for so long, I'd forgotten what it felt like to have something made just for me. Dante returned after dark, bringing the smell of cold air and cigarette smoke. I was curled on the couch, reading one of his books on Renaissance art. Wearing one of the new sweaters, he stopped when he saw me, something flickering in his expression. "It fits. You shouldn't have—" I wanted to. He shrugged off his jacket, and I saw blood on his collar. Not much, just a few drops, but enough to remind me what he was. "You're hurt." "Not my blood." He said it casually, already loosening his tie. "Whose then?" His smile was sharp. Someone who made poor life choices. I should have been horrified, should have demanded he take me home immediately. Instead, I found myself asking, "Marcus?" "No. Marcus is currently under, let's call it house arrest. His father is liquidating assets to pay me back." Dante poured himself whiskey from a crystal decanter. But he had business partners who thought they could renegotiate our arrangement. They were wrong. He drank, and I watched his throat work, mesmerized despite myself. "Does it bother you?" he asked suddenly. "Knowing what I do? I don't know what you do, not really. I hurt people who cross me. I take things that don't belong to me. I've killed—" He stopped, studying my face. "You're not running." "Where would I go? You have guards outside." "Even if you didn't." He moved closer, settling onto the couch beside me. "You're not afraid of me, Emma. You should be. But you're not." "Why?" I thought about it. Really thought. "Because you could have hurt me already. Could have taken whatever you wanted, but you didn't. You just took care of me. Taking care of you is another way of controlling you. I know." I met his eyes. "But at least you're honest about it." He laughed, the sound dark and genuine. Most people lie to themselves about their cages. Pretend the bars are for their own good. Aren't they? In your case? Yes. His hand found my ankle, thumb rubbing circles against the bone. "Marcus called me today, begged me to let you go." My heart stopped. "What did you say?" "I told him you weren't a hostage to be released. You were under my protection, which meant you stayed until I decided otherwise." His grip tightened slightly. "He offered me money, extra payment beyond what he owes." "How much?" $500,000. Dante's smile was cold, as if you could be bought. "What did you say?" His eyes found mine, dark and possessive. "I told him I'd take his money and keep you anyway, because you're worth more than any amount he could offer." The words should have felt like chains. Instead, they felt like warmth spreading through my chest, dangerous and intoxicating. "Why?" I whispered. "Why do you care so much about someone you just met?" He was quiet for a long moment, his hand still on my ankle, grounding us both. "My mother was like you," he said finally. "Soft, kind. She saw good in people who didn't deserve it." His jaw tightened. "My father's enemies used that against her. Took her because they knew it would destroy him." "What happened?" "He got her back. But she was different after, broken." His eyes were distant, seeing ghosts. "She died when I was 16. Not from what they did to her, but from never recovering from it, Dante. So when I see someone soft in a world full of predators, I protect them." His focus snapped back to me. "Even if protecting you means keeping you in a cage. Even if you end up hating me for it." He leaned closer. "At least you'll be alive to hate me." My hand found his face before I could stop myself, fingers tracing the scar through his eyebrow. "I don't hate you." You should. Probably. I smiled despite everything, but I don't. His hand came up to cover mine, pressing my palm against his cheek. Dangerous words, Piccola. Why? Because if you don't hate me, I'll never let you go. The promise hung between us, dark and sweet. And God help me, I wasn't sure I wanted him to. 3 days bled into a week, and I learned the rhythm of Dante's world. He left early, always before dawn, returning at unpredictable hours with tension carved into his shoulders and sometimes blood on his clothes. Never his own. He was always careful to tell me that, like it mattered whether the violence touched him or just radiated from him like heat. His guards rotated in 8-hour shifts, silent sentinels who brought me meals from restaurants I couldn't afford and books I'd mentioned wanting to read. I'd stopped asking to leave, not because I'd accepted captivity, but because the world outside had started to feel less real than this strange existence inside Dante's fortress. Sarah had stopped calling after I'd reassured her I was safe. My jobs had replaced me. The apartment I'd shared was being rented to someone else. My old life was erasing itself, and I was letting it happen. You're thinking too loud again. I jumped, closing the book I'd been pretending to read. Dante stood in the doorway of the living room, jacket slung over one shoulder, tie loosened. It was barely 8 in the evening, early for him. Bad day? I asked. Productive day. He moved to the bar, pouring whiskey with practiced ease. Marcus's father finally liquidated enough assets to make his first payment. $500,000 transferred this afternoon. That's good, right? It means nothing changes. He turned to face me, glass in hand. They still owe me $2.5 million, and Marcus is still desperate enough to be stupid. My stomach twisted. What did he do? Dante's smile was razor sharp. He tried to hire someone to kill me. The words hit like ice water. What? Amateur hour. Some ex-military contractor who didn't realize he was being hired to commit suicide. Dante sipped his whiskey, completely calm. My men intercepted him this morning. He's currently telling us everything Marcus told him, which includes the fact that Marcus asked about you. Fear spiked through me. Asked what? Where you are. If you're being held against your will. If killing me would set you free. Dante set down his glass and crossed to where I sat, kneeling in front of me so we were eye level. He thinks I'm the villain in this story, Piccola. That he's rescuing you. That's insane. Is it? His hand found my knee, familiar now. That possessive touch I'd grown used to. I took you from your home. Keep you here with guards. Control where you go and who you see. By most definitions, that makes me exactly what Marcus thinks I am. You're protecting me. I'm keeping you. His eyes were dark, endless. There's a difference. Is there? You tell me. His other hand came up to cup my face, thumb tracing my lower lip. Do you feel protected, Emma, or do you feel trapped? I should have said trapped. Should have demanded he let me go, return to my life, stop this beautiful, dangerous game we were playing. Instead, I leaned into his touch, my eyes closing at the warmth of his palm against my cheek. Both, I whispered. I feel both. His breath hitched. When I opened my eyes, he was staring at me with an intensity that stole the air from my lungs. You should fear me more. I know. You should hate me for this. I know. Then why? He stopped, jaw clenching. Why do you look at me like I'm not a monster? Because monsters don't cry over their dead mothers. They don't buy clothes for strange women because they notice things don't fit. They don't sit up reading architecture books and drinking coffee at 3 a.m. when they think no one's watching. His eyes widened slightly. You've been spying on me. I've been learning you. My hand covered his on my cheek. The same way you've been learning me, knowing I take my coffee black. That I read when I'm anxious. That I bite my lip when I'm thinking. You do. His thumb pressed gently against my lower lip, stopping the habit. You'll hurt yourself, and you care. I shouldn't. But his hand stayed on my face, gentle despite the violence I knew it was capable of. Caring about you makes you a weakness. Something my enemies can use against me. Like they used your mother against your father. Pain flashed in his eyes. Yes. Then let me go. I forced the words out. Before I become that weapon. His grip tightened, possessive. No, Dante. I said no. He stood abruptly, turning away from me. I've spent 10 years building walls, Emma, ensuring nothing and no one could be used to hurt me. I don't have weaknesses. I don't have soft spots. I don't... He laughed, bitter. I didn't. Until you. I didn't ask for this. Neither did I. He spun back to face me. Do you think I wanted to feel this? To see you standing in that ballroom looking so fucking breakable and feel something in me crack open? He moved closer. Predatory. I should have walked away. Should have let Marcus humiliate you and forgotten your face by morning. Why didn't you? Because you looked at me. He said it like a confession, like a curse. In a room full of people who feared me or wanted to use me, you looked at me like I was human, like I was someone who could save you instead of someone to run from. You did save me. I stole you. He was in front of me again, hands framing my face. I saw something soft and beautiful, and I took it because men like me don't get to have soft things. We take them, break them, destroy them trying to keep them safe. I'm not broken. Not yet. His forehead pressed against mine. But you will be, Piccola. Because I'm never letting you go, and that kind of possession destroys soft things eventually. Then why keep me? Because I'm selfish. His voice dropped to a whisper. Because for the first time in a decade, I feel something other than rage and calculation. Because when you smile at me over coffee in the morning, I remember what it's like to be human instead of a weapon. My hands found his wrists, holding him to me. What if I don't want to leave? He pulled back enough to search my face. Don't say that unless you mean it. What if I mean it? Then you're more dangerous than any enemy I've ever faced. But his thumb traced my cheekbone with heartbreaking gentleness, because I'd burn the world down to keep you safe. I'd kill anyone who tried to take you from me. He stopped, jaw working. What? I'd love you. He said it like admitting to murder. And love makes me weak. Vulnerable. Everything I swore I'd never be again. The confession hung between us, raw and terrifying. My heart hammered against my ribs. Every survival instinct screaming warnings I couldn't hear over the rushing in my ears. I should be afraid of you, I whispered. Yes. I should demand you let me go. Yes. I should run as far from you as possible. Yes. His hands tightened on my face. But you won't. No. The word escaped before I could stop it. I won't. He kissed me then, and it was nothing like I'd imagined, not gentle or sweet, but desperate and claiming, like he was trying to brand himself on my soul, his hands tangled in my hair, tilting my head back as he devoured my mouth with a hunger that should have terrified me. But I kissed him back just as desperately, my fingers clutching his shirt, pulling him closer. He tasted like whiskey and danger and something darker, something that called to a part of me I hadn't known existed, the soft part of me that wanted to be claimed by something dangerous. The broken part that craved the beautiful cage he offered. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes were black with want. Tell me to stop. His voice was rough. Tell me you don't want this. I can't. Emma, I should want to leave. Should be horrified by what you are. What you do. My hands framed his face now, feeling the roughness of stubble against my palms. But all I can think about is how you look at me like I'm precious, how you touch me like I might break. How you've given me more care in a week than Marcus gave me in 2 years. That's not love. That's obsession, possession, control. I smiled despite the tears sliding down my cheeks. I know what it is, Dante, and I'm choosing it anyway. Something broke in his expression. He pulled me against him, face buried in my hair, holding me so tightly I could barely breathe. You're going to destroy me, Piccola. Good. I wrapped my arms around him, feeling his heart racing against mine. Then we'll be even. We stayed like that for a long moment, wrapped in each other, the city glittering beyond the windows like a carpet of fallen stars. When his phone buzzed, one of the two he always carried, he ignored it. When it buzzed again, he cursed softly in Italian. I have to take this. I nodded, releasing him reluctantly. He stepped away, already shifting back into the dangerous man the world knew. answering in rapid Italian. But his free hand found mine, threading our fingers together like he couldn't bear to break contact completely. Whatever the person on the other end said made his expression darken. He responded sharply, then hung up. "What's wrong?" "Marcus." Dante's jaw clenched. "He's escalated, took out a loan from the Bratva, Russian mob, to try to pay me off." Ice flooded my veins. "Is that bad?" "It's suicidal. The Bratva don't forgive debt. Now he owes them whatever he borrowed, plus interest, and he still owes me." Dante ran his free hand through his hair. "He's trying to play us against each other. Make it look like I'm being unreasonable so the Russians will side with him." "Will they?" "No, but they might try to use you to negotiate." His grip on my hand tightened. "Which means nowhere is safe anymore. Not even here." Fear spiked through me. "What do we do?" "We?" Despite everything, he smiled. "You're not leaving me, Piccola? No." I said it firmly. "Whatever this is, we're in it together now." His eyes softened, that dangerous man melting into something vulnerable. "Then we finish this. Tonight." "How?" "We make Marcus understand that you're not a bargaining chip. You're mine." He pulled me close again, lips brushing my temple. "And what's mine? I protect with everything I have, even if it means war, especially then." He kissed me again, softer this time, but no less
dressed,
possessive.
Emma.
Something warm. "We're going to end this. Where are we going?" His smile was sharp, dangerous. Everything that should have sent me running. To show Marcus Ashford exactly what happens to men who try to take what belongs to me. I should have been terrified. Should have refused. Should have finally recognized the danger I was in. Instead, I went to change into the warm clothes Dante had bought me. My reflection in the mirror showing a woman I barely recognized. Someone who looked less like a victim and more like a queen preparing for battle. Someone who'd chosen her monster and would stand beside him while he fought for her. The warehouse smelled like oil and rust and something darker. Fear, maybe, or the copper tang of old violence. Dante's hand remained locked around mine as we walked through the massive space. Our footsteps echoing off concrete. His guards flanked us, silent shadows with guns visible beneath their jackets. Marcus knelt in the center of the floor, hands zip-tied behind his back, face swollen and bloody. 2 Russian men in expensive suits stood nearby, watching with the detached interest of people evaluating livestock. Victoria sat in a folding chair against the wall, crying silently, her perfect makeup streaked down her face. "Emma." Marcus's voice cracked when he saw me. "Oh God, Emma, I'm so sorry." "Shut up." Dante's voice was conversational, but Marcus flinched like he'd been struck. "You don't get to speak to her." One of the Russians stepped forward, older, gray-haired, with eyes like winter. "Moretti, you bring your woman to business meeting?" "This is personal, Volkov. She stays." Dante's grip on my hand tightened slightly, the only sign of tension in his otherwise relaxed posture. "Marcus owes me $2.5 million. He came to you for a loan to pay me. I'm here to explain why that was a mistake." Volkov's smile was thin. "Boy owes us $3 million now. Plus interest. He say you are unreasonable, man. That we should negotiate on his behalf. Did he mention why he owes me money in the first place? He say business deal gone bad. He stole from me." Dante's voice dropped to something deadly quiet. "Laundered funds through his father's construction company. Used my money to finance his lifestyle while honest contractors went unpaid." He gestured at Marcus. "This isn't a business deal gone bad. This is theft." Marcus made a choking sound. "I was going to pay you back with Russian mob money?" Dante laughed, dark and humorless. "You're not just a thief, Marcus. You're an idiot. Please." Victoria's voice was small. "Please, just let him go. His father is selling everything. His father is selling things that were purchased with my money." Dante turned his attention to her, and I felt him shift into something colder, more dangerous. "Tell me, Victoria, did you know your fiancé was a thief when you accepted his proposal?" She shook her head frantically. "Did you know he invited his ex-girlfriend to your engagement party specifically to humiliate her? To make himself feel powerful by making someone else feel small?" Victoria's eyes found mine, horror and shame warring in her expression. I thought it was just a joke. Jokes are funny. Dante's voice cut like a blade. Cruelty is not. Volkov cleared his throat. This is very touching, but we have business. The boy owes money. To you. To us. Someone must pay. Agreed. Dante released my hand and stepped forward, and I felt cold without his touch. Here's what's going to happen. Marcus's father will continue liquidating assets to pay me back, every cent with interest, until the debt is cleared. And our money. Volkov's eyes narrowed. Consider it a lesson in due diligence. Dante's smile was sharp. You loaned money to a thief without checking his situation. That's poor business, Volkov. I'm not responsible for your mistakes. The temperature in the warehouse dropped 10 degrees. Volkov's men shifted, hands moving toward weapons. Dante's guards responded in kind, a deadly dance of implied violence. You refuse to honor his debt to us? Volkov's voice was silk over steel. I refuse to let you profit from his stupidity at my expense. Dante didn't move, didn't reach for a weapon, but somehow he dominated the space. Marcus stole from me. That makes him mine to punish. You want your money back? Take it from what his father pays me. I'll give you 20 cents on the dollar as a professional courtesy. 20 cents. Volkov's face darkened. That is insult. That's business. Dante's expression didn't change. You gambled on a bad investment. I'm offering you a partial return. Take it or write it off as a loss. The silence stretched, thick with threat. I realized I'd stopped breathing, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. This was Dante's world. Negotiations at gunpoint, fortunes won and lost in concrete warehouses, violence always one wrong word away. Finally, Volkov laughed. You have balls, Moretti. I respect this. He gestured at his men, who relaxed fractionally. 20 cents on dollar, but you owe me favor. Within reason. Within reason, Volkov agreed. He looked at Marcus with disgust. And this one? What happens to him? Dante turned to me, and everyone in the warehouse followed his gaze. That depends on Emma. My mouth went dry. What? He hurt you. Used you. Dante's eyes held mine, dark and intense. You get to decide what happens to him. Marcus made a desperate sound. Emma, please. We were good together once, remember? I made a mistake. I was young and stupid. But I never meant... You invited me to your engagement party as a joke. My voice came out steady despite my shaking hands. You wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone you knew. You wanted me to feel small and worthless and pathetic. I'm sorry. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry it backfired. I looked at Dante. What are my options? His smile was dangerous, proud. Anything you want, Piccola. I'll kill him if you ask. Break him. Destroy everything he has left. The power in those words was intoxicating. I could end Marcus with a word, could make him suffer the way he'd made me suffer. But looking at him kneeling there, pathetic and broken, I felt nothing but pity. Let him go, I said finally. Dante's expression flickered with surprise. Emma, let him pay back what he owes. Let him live with the consequences of his choices. I met Marcus's eyes, but I want him to know that I'm not the weak girl he thought he could hurt. That I'm worth more than he ever deserved. Silence. Then Dante moved to me, his hand cupping my face with heartbreaking gentleness. You're extraordinary. I'm just tired of being afraid. You're not afraid anymore? I looked around the warehouse, at the guards with their guns, at Volkov with his cold eyes, at Marcus bleeding on the floor. I'm terrified, but not of you. His kiss was soft, reverent, completely at odds with the violence surrounding us. When he pulled back, his eyes were warm. Get her out of here, he told one of his guards. Take her home. I'm not leaving you. I need to finish this. 5 minutes, then I'll follow. He kissed my forehead. Trust me. I did. God help me, I did. The penthouse felt different when I returned, less like a cage and more like a sanctuary. I showered, washing away the smell of the warehouse, and changed into soft clothes. My hands were still shaking when Dante walked through the door an hour later. Is it done? It's done. He looked exhausted, the dangerous edge worn away to reveal the man beneath. Marcus will pay back every cent over the next 10 years. Volkov took his 20%. Victoria broke off the engagement. She was just collateral damage in all this. And us? He moved to me, pulling me into his arms. There is no and us. There's just us. You and me. Together. I chose this. I whispered against his chest. I chose you. I know. His hand stroked my hair. And I'll spend every day proving you made the right choice. Even though you're a dangerous criminal? Even though. He tilted my face up to meet his eyes. I can't change what I am, Emma. Can't promise you safety or normalcy or anything resembling a regular life. But I can promise that I'll protect you with everything I have. That I'll worship you like the precious thing you are. That I'll... Love me? I finished for him. His smile was soft, vulnerable. I already do. Have since the moment you looked at me in that ballroom like I was capable of saving you. You did save me. We saved each other. He kissed me, slow and deep and full of promise. You showed me I could feel something other than rage. I showed you that you deserved more than men like Marcus. So what happens now? Now? He pulled me toward the bedroom, his intent clear in his dark eyes. Now I show you exactly how much you mean to me, how precious you are, how I plan to spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt your worth again. That's very possessive. I'm a possessive man. His smile was sharp. You knew that when you chose me. I did. I let him pull me close, let his hands map my body with reverent touches. And I'd choose you again. Dangerous words, Piccola. I'm a dangerous woman now. I have a mafia boss who'd burn the world for me. His laugh was warm against my skin. That you do. 6 months later, I woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee, Dante's arm heavy across my waist. The penthouse had become home, my books on the shelves, my clothes in the closet, my coffee mug in the kitchen. I had a life now that looked nothing like my old one. I'd gone back to school, studying art history with tuition Dante paid without blinking. My old roommates visited regularly, Sarah finally accepting that I was genuinely happy. I'd even started painting again. Something I'd given up when survival became more important than dreams. Dante had kept his word, protecting me, worshipping me, loving me with an intensity that should have been terrifying, but felt like coming home. You're thinking too loud, he murmured against my shoulder, just thinking how strange life is. Strange how? A year ago, I was cleaning toilets and dating a man who saw me as temporary entertainment. Now I'm living with a mafia boss who looks at me like I hung the stars. He rolled me to face him, his eyes warm in the morning light. You did hang the stars. My whole world was darkness before you. That's very poetic for a criminal. I'm a man of many talents. His hand traced patterns on my skin. Speaking of which, he pulled a small box from the nightstand. My heart stopped. Dante, let me finish. He opened it, revealing a ring. Not huge or ostentatious, but perfect. A deep red ruby surrounded by diamonds. I know this isn't traditional. I know I'm not the kind of man you should build a life with. But you chose me anyway, and I want to choose you back. Every day. Forever. Tears blurred my vision. Is this... Marry me, Emma. His voice was rough with emotion. Let me give you my name, my protection. Everything I have. Let me spend the rest of my life proving that choosing me wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. I threw my arms around him, laughing and crying at once. Yes, I'll marry you. He slid the ring onto my finger, then kissed me like I was air and he was drowning. When we finally broke apart, both smiling, he pressed his forehead to mine. I love you, Piccola. My soft, dangerous, extraordinary woman. I love you too, my beautiful monster. Monster and all, especially the monster parts. I kissed him again. They're what make you mine. Outside, the city stretched endlessly, full of danger and possibility, but here, wrapped in Dante's arms, wearing his ring, I felt nothing but safe, chosen, loved. I'd walked into that ballroom a broken girl hoping for closure. I'd walked out claimed by a man who saw my worth when I couldn't see it myself. And if that made me Mrs. Emma Moretti, Wife of a mafia boss, queen of a dangerous empire, I'd wear that crown with pride. Because sometimes the most dangerous choice is the one that saves you. And I chose to be saved.